What up, manga readers? I'm back with another video doing the second arc of Yu-Gi-Oh's original manga. Now then, there's actually not that many arcs left, actually. So the original manga had 59 chapters, right? I explained that last time. But that means it had a total of 3 story arcs. School arc, Death Tea arc, and the next arc I'll be reviewing. Anyway, the next arc might have to prove me wrong, but I really preferred this arc than the episodic nature of the first arc. I didn't hate that. I liked it. It was a fun read. But this arc had me exhausted. Because... Oh, yeah. Because it helped me. It's really absorbing. I finally got completed too. Because I started reading this about a year ago, I think. No, not 2 years ago. A couple of years ago, actually. When I was still in college. I only got to the Death Tea arc. About a couple chapters of the Death Tea arc. But I think I go to the room story. This is a great arc. So many. And a lot of the ideas of the Death Tea arc were reused for episode 1 of the anime. Especially from Kaiba's first appearance. Those two were reused for ideas for Kaiba running together with some changes. See the first episode, the introduction to the characters in the card game. So yeah, as I mentioned last time, this arc was supposed to be for the card game. No, obviously this arc must be in production before the card game was popular, gained popularity. I mean, it's obviously he had the idea, Kazuki Takahashi had the idea of creating this arc with a great story, great conclusion, bring Kaiba back, Possibly wanted to bring Kaiba back, he's such a likable antagonist. Alright, chapters 24 and 25 set this arc up. The Death Tea arc. So, yeah, no, the card game doesn't come, only it is in 2 parts of the story. And this is a big change for us. Start of a change of the characters. We will see characters we'll be familiar with in the future. Excuse me. Didn't mean to burp. Sorry. So yeah. So anyway, this arc continues where we exactly left off. Now, about continues where chapter 5 left off, with Junichi and Yugi coming back from the arcade. A nice detail they kept throughout the arc is Yugi has a bruise on his cheek from the punch, and Junichi has a scar on the side of his cheek too from the knife. So I like that detail. Like how they had that detail. So yeah, I like how they continue the arc where exactly left off. So anyway, walking home. Walking home, walk from the arcade. Someone who works for Kaiba shows up, inviting them to his mansion, where we discover that, well, new viewers who read this manga, they know familiar with the Yu-Gi-Oh series. If you're not familiar with the Yu-Gi-Oh series and want to know about the card game, I suggest reading the original manga first. It may not have much of the card game involved, but it's great stories with great characters. More, as you spend time with them, and it takes time to develop. Like, I'm curious to know how Yugi and Arzu became friends. Like, I really want to know about that story. They could have done it during the school arc. Give us a chapter where we learn about Tay and Yugi's friendship, or at least make that past the sentence. Because, well, I want to know their story. How those two became good friends. And this is a big change for Yugi as well. As I said, anyway, Kaiba owns a big game company called Kaiba Corporation. Where he and his brother, where he's president and his brother is vice president. Mukura's also in the car. Of course, invite him to the mansion because Kaiba wants to talk to them personally. But of course, obviously, this is Kaiba's plan to get revenge. Mukaba offers him some food. Now, Mukaba was different in the original manga, but in the anime, which doesn't adapt these stories, Mukaba was more. Because in the anime, since they didn't adapt these stories, Mukaba was more of a good person. Just Kassadon is misguided. I like the manga's detail better of Kaiba's relationship with Mukaba. Well, we do see they have a good relationship in the anime. We don't know what it was like with Kaiba's darkness. Get more of that detail later. I'm gonna get to the card game a bit because kind of plays out similarly to episode 1, the anime, but with some differences. So, because it was also it was a special little game he created. You know, look at desertion. Junichi tries to desert that player in front of him. It was poison. It's a game of special type of Russian roulette type game. It also gets a penalty. You can get upset at what happened to his friend. If he doesn't win this game quickly, Junichi would die. Also, I know Honda's full name now. Hirohito Honda. That's his name. So I thought I'd mention that now. So Yami Yugi though plays this game. Mukuba's cheating, but Yugi with clever thinking. Yugi managed to stop Mukuba cheating and win the game. Now he gets the antidote to rescue Junichi. But of course, that's not the end. Kaiba's asleep at this point. And when the next chapter starts, he has a nightmare about his duel against Yugi. So he plans his revenge. So Kaiba wakes up and is prepared to take them to take him to Kaiba Corp. The Kaiba Land. Yes, that. No child rise and gives him lets him see a special event he's holding. Is a duel against Sugoroto Moto, Yugi's grandpa. Now, if you're a Westerner who never watched the Japanese version, who do not know the Japanese names, Junichi is Joey, Honda to Tristan, Anzu to Taya, Sugoroto to Solomon. And a lot of characters in the manga were not in the anime. Like the character Hanasaki, will be in 2 chapters. Well, actually 3, I think. Now, Hanasaki is a really likable character. He didn't appear in much of the chapters. He's a good guy. Shame the anime didn't bring him back. Shame the anime didn't put him in. Because seriously, he was a good friend and really helped out. Truly had good friends looking out for him. So I wasn't sure about this. I think that Yugi's still short. I just wasn't sure because I wasn't paying close attention to the design when he was doing Kaiba later. Right. So this kind of plays like episode 1, which happened off screen in the anime, by the way. Sugoroto loses to Kaiba, and Kaiba pulls a penalty game. Causing Sugoroto to have a heart attack. So he needs to be sent to the hospital. Kaiba will agree to let his grandpa out on one condition. Yugi will have to compete in this Death Tea game. Yugi accepts, and Sugoro is taken to the hospital. Junichi decides to join Yugi. After all, he can't let his best friend do this alone. Honda shows up too. He was in the audience, seeing the whole thing, with his cousin Chihiro. With his nephew, actually, his sister's child. Which this is the old time Honda's family's ever mentioned, by the way. Junichi's family does get mentioned in the anime, but nothing about his dad. It was mentioned in 2-part chapter. That his dad's a drunken deadbeat. And now we know why his parents divorced. But one thing I don't understand, why didn't Junichi's mom ever take him with her? Now that's always confused me. She left him with her abusive father. Now I'll get to. I actually do not know Jonichi's sister's name yet in Japanese. You know, Japanese name is. I know her name is Serenity, but that won't come to about. She gets mentioned in the Duelist Kingdom arc, but won't make a physical appearance until the Bow City arc, and about does has some time in the Virtual World arc, and the Bow City second Bow City Finals arc. Actually, I think the Virtual World's the original arc for the anime. I'm not sure. No, I did. So yeah, Honda's nephew. So the three take part in the Death D challenge. First challenge is a laser tag challenge. And guess who happens to be working there that day? Anzu. She explains that she got fired for her last job because hit someone who touched her ass. So basically, she was fired for injuring a pervert. Really unfair. A little detail: Chihiro is a pervert himself. For a baby, he also talked. For a baby, he could really be a perv. Especially knows what being pervy is like for someone that small. I'm not sure if season 0 had them. I want to check out season 0. Anyway, so yeah. So yeah, Anzu got the job there. Kyra didn't know she was working there, by the way. So the three take bow in the tag. Where Kyra has some plans. So hire three special hitmen. Basically, when the guns hit their chest plates, it causes an electric shock inside that could kill them. After being hit on the shoulder, Honda realized it. Oh, because they might get past Death T1. No, they have 5 Death Ts. They have 5 challenges. Death D2 is a haunted mansion. It's a haunted one. First off, they deal with Kaiba's butler with an actual shock challenge. Next to Chihiro, pooping on him. The butler lost. Yeah, he pooped on him. I don't even know how he's able to get that out when he's actually wearing a jump onesie, you know? He's wearing a onesie and yet somehow he got poop out. And that just confuses me slightly. I think it's a bit of a mistake, really. I don't know, there must be some other way. Oh well. Just a nitpick. Besides, seeing poop is gross. No. Anyway. So the second one, the mansion, they have to get out in the mansion when there's a crazy killer working for Kaiba in there. When they killed an entire group of Boy Scouts. The Drop Man. I'm gonna figure out a puzzle. Oh, thanks to you, quick thinking. You need to get to Death T3 when they battle the Chop Man. Junichi has a problem. Knows what to do. The puzzle somehow must have told Yuki about everything. Places pen to Junichi. Junichi managed to use that Chop Man's strength against him. So yeah. Kaiba and Mukaba have a slight argument, saying that Mukaba's weak for losing to Yugi. Especially for battling Yugi without his permission. So they made a bet, by the way, that what's challenge will Yugi die on. Kaiba bet Death T5. Mukaba bet on Death T4. So for his brother Ron, Mukaba challenges Yuki on the next Death T. Actually, Death T3 is much more emotional one. Well, the only way to go is to leave your friends behind. But he didn't know that. Yuki feels like he was giving up, blaming himself, but with some consequence with Junichi and his friends, showing how much I like this part actually. It shows how much they grow as friends. I really like this part. Shows their growth. We have seen their friendship in many other stories, but I like this moment. Shows their resolve even more. That proves how well friends work together. So yeah. I guess this part happened in episode 1 of the anime, where Anzu draws a special friendship symbol on their hands. But it looks like a smiley face when put together, unlike in the anime, which is changed to lines just across the hand. Shame, because the smile was a nice detail. And no matter where they are or what happens to them, they always be connected as friends. No matter what. I like that. So yeah, not sure. Trying to avoid the blocks falling down. Anzu realizes the ribbon of the things because she wants to be a dancer. Anyway, she said she quit after filming the truth about Kaiba. I think they told her what Kaiba did as well. So, as she get out, Honda realizes something and tells him to get out quickly. When the gang tries to get Honda back, they realize Honda can't move because his jacket's caught into the blocks. He says this is where he stays and says goodbye to his friends. And the blocks fall down. We don't see what happens then, but it was an emotional moment. You see Yugi struggling with something, which we know as the other Yugi. Yugi finally tells his friends the truth that he has another self inside him. And if he lets it out, his friends won't accept him anymore. But his friends don't care about that. That their Yugi is Yugi, his friend, no matter what. It's a great moment. So it makes the deck T4. Where Yugi and Mukaba have a capsule monster battle. When his friends at gunpoint, Yugi transforms into Yami Yugi. When his friends see it for the first time. We seriously don't see Anzu recognize. I think Anzu realized about the other Yugi, and that's why they know about it now. That's going to be great plot points for other chapters in the future. And next arc, we'll actually focus on that more, which is adapted into the Duelist Kingdom arc. So yeah, I think those stories are original episodes, just inspired by the next arc. Introduces another antagonist. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes. So yeah, the total of 19 chapters left. 18 actually. I've got 18 chapters left, so I'll be done tomorrow. I'm gonna read the last chapters tomorrow. Anyway, so yeah, Yugi bows Mokaba in, and wins. Remember, Mokaba set up a penalty game. Set at last. Kaiba appears on screen, saying Mokaba he failed and he suffers his own penalty game. Yugi is shocked that his type will do that to his own brother. Seems like Mokaba will die. Yugi switches his hand out to save Mokaba. Mokaba asks why he saved him. He just tells him that a friend will leave into danger with someone. As a true meaning of friendship, they'll help each other. Show a little kindness and bravery. I mean, that starts to change Mokaba. So anyway, now Yugi heads up the elevator with Jonichi and Anzu still at gunpoint, and ends up dueling Kaiba. Now, familiar with the anime, you know what happens. Because most of it plays out exactly like the anime, but with some difference. We get to see we get the first appearances of some more iconic cards. So yeah, Yugi duels Kaiba. Of course, Yugi struggles because the Kaiba's got the three Blue Eyes White Dragon cards and whipped up Sugimoto's card. Got mentioned that earlier. So I don't really need to explain much of it. You just have to read the manga yourself, or because most of it plays out similar to how the first episode does, go watch the anime. And not season 0, I mean the official anime. Because episode 2 is when the Duelist Kingdom truly starts, because that's based on the manga. Anyway, but Yugi seems to give up. Like giving up. He remember some get some comic from his grandpa. By the way, Hanasaki's watching him over the hospital while Megana at the tea. Also about his grandpa. That's reminding him about that he never gave up trying to complete the Millennium Puzzle. He tried being building for 8 years and never gave up. So why should he give up now? Duel is like Duel is like a piece of the puzzle, especially monster cards. Because Yugi, now you're really familiar with this. Yugi's only got 4 special card fingers, but he realizes something. So we get the first mention appearances of Winged Dragon, Galio the Fortress, Gaia the Fierce Knight, Soggy the Dark Clown, and Dark Magician. All Yugi's Ace Monster's first appearance ever. With a slight difference in the design. Yeah, you can tell there's a slight difference in where he's designed. Well, it doesn't really bother me, because this is the character's first appearance. Of course, in Japan, he was known as Black Magician. Just again, the English translation made it familiar for us Westerners, but kept the Japanese names on most of the other characters. And Yugi draws the final piece of the puzzle, Exodia, a master summon and win against Kaiba. As a penalty, Yugi took all the evil away from Kaiba's heart. The iconic Mind Crush. By the way, guys, I'd like to know if you. I'm curious to know, is there any way to watch the 10 episode uncut dub of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters? Yeah, there's actually an uncut full English dub of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters by 4Kids themselves. But the project was cancelled because 4Kids wasn't making a profit out of them. I don't know, I think it's a good idea, that was. Where kids get experience the original but the anime, and well, when they get older, they get to experience the same anime with slight differences. That's not a bad idea, but for kids, like greedy, money hungry cells, doesn't care about people. This. Anyway, if you know how to watch, I'm curious to see what the 10 episode uncut dub was like, because obviously dubbed later on when Yu-Gi-Oh! Was run. Because of one knows no difference. I'll get to that when I actually reveal the Yu-Gi-Oh! Dub. So if you know how to watch that. Anyway, back to the story. Yugi and Jonuchi and Anzu are still at gunpoint. Jonuchi not sure what to do because he can't put Anzu in danger. And guess who comes up from behind? Honda. Oh, by the way, Jiho's sleeping the entire time of the duel. It's hilarious. I think this is the character's last appearance. This is the character's only appearance. So you want to see him again, probably. I don't know. I've never seen the manga. That's why I'm going to check out the manga. Anyway, Honda saves them, and he and Junichi manage to beat the crap out of them. Because one now grabs Junichi at gunpoint again, but Mokuba shows up telling him to stop, that the game's over. Of course, Mokuba, because he's still got learning to change, just says he didn't do it for them. He just owes Yugi is all. Anyway, and we find out that it was Mokuba who saved Honda. And Honda's not wearing a school jacket, by the way. He said he was wearing the room trying to avoid the blocks, and Mokuba turned the machine off and saved him. And Mokuba tells the story of what happened to his brother. Now, we get familiarized with these in the virtual world arc, which probably was not a manga arc because it takes place in between the Battle City arc. Which I don't know why the anime decided to have an arc during one of the biggest events ever, a special tournament arc. And you got to see the conclusion, but they're drawing it out. They should have saved the virtual arc until after the duel's over, until after these stories, after the tournament's over, where the boards show up. That's why I think this should have been. Oh well. Anyway, Mukaba and Kaiba were Mukaba and Seto weren't really called Kaiba back then. They were off. Their parents died when they were young, and they were sent to the orphanage because their relatives used up their trust fund. Horrible people. It wasn't so bad at the orphanage. Kaiba was quite different back then. Well, that got on the picture of Mukaba. Ian Mukaba playing chess was the last time Seto ever smiled. Because one day, the original owner of Kaiba Corp goes aboard Kaiba, shows up. Now, if you're familiar with this guy in the virtual world arc, you know he's a toe ass. Anyway, so basically, Seto tries him to a chess. This was actually mentioned earlier in earlier stories with Kaiba. That he likes chess. You know, he likes to play chess. It was mentioned a few times about this arc too. Because Kaiba did not have his cool outfit yet, he just wore a new original outfit for that arc. So we get to see him wear his cool purple jacket for the Duelist Kingdom arc. Anyway. So yeah. Sato managed to beat Gozaburo in a game of chess by cheating. That was a nice detail. But in the anime, it was changed to Kaiba actually winning fair and square. Yeah. Because the agreement was, if Gozaburo lost, you'll adopt both him and Mukaba. So he honors his agreement, but what a mistake. Things were hell for him. He turned Kaiba into a weapon. Going to become an heir, but though did Gozaburo realize, he turned him into an enemy. I'm going to help with the board members deciding if Gozaburo's out. Kaiba now head on the company. Gozaburo says this. See this, Seto? This is what happens to the losers. I just jumps out the window, committed suicide. That's fucked up. The anime did not do that. It's messed up in the anime. Anyway. After hearing this story, Yu tells him that Kaiba. Right now, Kaiba is trying to rebuild what he lost. Rebuild the puzzle of his heart. The good side of him will become not to me, so he can start over once again with his brother. Mukaba asks, will Kaiba ever come back to normal? Yugi tells that he will someday. That's really a bit. Goes Hon. I guess Junji had to explain things to Honda about the things going on later. So anyway, after that, Junichi tells Yugi that his grandpa's recovering fine. So they head to the hospital. Junichi starts to wonder, how did Yugi turn back when they sold into cells? I was going to ask Yugi about deciding not to, because Yugi is Yugi. Yugi knows what Junichi was going to ask. This is the first time, because this is the first time you actually remembered about. Due to earlier, every time Ian comes Yugi, he can't remember a single moment about. He blacks out, like sort of split personality. So basically, the mother, and you did not know anything about Yugi. So it's like he was a separate personality. That's why he was short, or the same height as Yugi. Like he was a separate personality, a more confident side of Yugi, the polished nose, evil. No, I think that was Kazuki Takahashi's original idea for the character. Where the card game spun up, became popular. He tried to make some tweaks to it. I mean, he tried to, because obviously he took, as I mentioned before, he took some inspiration from JoJo's Bizarre Adventures Egypt arc of Part 3, Stardust Crusaders. You know, so he obviously took the story of the Egypt arc, the second part of the story of JoJo's part, Stardust Crusaders. You can actually watch. By the way, quick note: if you live in the UK, you can actually watch parts 1 through 3, jet in dub on Netflix along with part 6, or on Crunchyroll you can watch all 5 parts that are in sub boom, which also gets parts 1 through 2, parts 1 and 2, put together as movies, 3 movies, which is nice. I like the idea too. So yeah, and that's where the chapter ends for now. That's for the arc's conclusion. As I said, I loved this arc. It was a great test for Yugi and his friends. Shows great growth in Yugi. You really see his growth from the first chapter all the way up to now. He's definitely grown a bit. I like that detail. Alright, what do you think of this video, guys? Thank you for guys watching and enjoying my content. Hit that thumbs up button. Want to see more? Subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell. We'll be doing all the videos that comes out in the future. And I hope to see you next time for another Yu-Gi-Oh review. Alright, once I'm done with the original manga, I'll probably move on to season 0 as an anime review. You know? Because that's the original. I will set out to read the original manga first. So I do not know when I'm going to read Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist. Yu-Gi-Oh! There's also Yu-Gi-Oh! Art, Millennium Tour, and stuff like that. This confuses me. I don't know. Anyway, thank you guys. I'll see you all next time. And, well, I hope you like dueling. Now, the duel, of course, as I said earlier, there's some slight differences to the card game in the manga. Because this was not, because there was, Takahashi was trying to expand on the card game because it became so popular. We have nothing against the card game either. It's really cool. I think he must have felt really happy that a game he created just for a story just became popular and just took off. Becoming what we know today. You know? That. Well, we get the duel disc where every time a duelist does this, they draw a card pretty hard. In a dramatic way. Where they just, in the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Animes, they just do it like this. Like regular draw. It shows how much these stories improved. I really can't wait to review more Yu-Gi-Oh! Animes as well. I can watch season 1 and 2 of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D subbed on Crunchyroll. But anyway, thank you guys for watching again, and see you all next time. Yosuke out.